All right, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority meeting, July 1st at 6:15. Roll call, please.
Kolar. Bond.
Here.
Dilbeck. Here. Ahern.
Here.
Marshall. White.
Here.
Morrell. Wines. Here. Stroller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. We all join me in invocation, please. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this evening. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to pray openly and publicly in this nation. I thank you for giving us that right. I ask that you be with us tonight, that we'll be able to conduct the items that we have before us for the betterment of our city. I pray these things in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, item number 1 is the consent agenda. We have one item on there to receive and approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. We'll skip down to item number 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the PMA agenda. Seeing none, we will move to item 5, proclamation, accommodations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Seeing none, we will move on to item 6. Any new business that needs to come before the authority this evening? None? Item 7,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry on July 1st at 6:17. Roll call, please.
Kolar. Bond.
Here.
Dilbeck.
Here.
Ahern.
Here.
Marshall. White.
Here.
Morrell. Wines. Here. Stroller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. We'll move on to item number 1, the consent agenda. We have several items on there for approval. What would y'all like to do?
Make a motion to approve all of the items A through I on the consent agenda.
There's a J on the other.
Oh, sorry, Jay.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're Jay.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. All right, item number 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the city agenda. Any comments from those assembled? Seeing none, we'll move to item 5, proclamation, accommodations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Seeing none, we will move on. City manager's report. Larry couldn't be with us today, this evening. I do want to inform you that his father-in-law has passed away. So we do want to offer condolences to his family, his wife's family. But he's at home with his wife this evening. It's the reason the city manager's not here. Does anyone have anything they want to ask? If they saw anything on the envoy or anything that we can talk about? All right, we'll move on from there. Item number 7, consider approval of certain city contracts and resolutions. Item A, consider approval of tourism development contract with the Perry Chamber of Commerce. Y'all wanted to hold this over from our last meeting that we had. We tabled it because you wanted to hear from the chamber. So I believe that, I don't know who was going to speak on the chamber's behalf this evening, but you're more than welcome to come to the podium.
Sure. My name is Lawrence Wortham. I'm with Microtel here in Perry, and then I'm also the board chair on the Chamber of Commerce. And we have Noah Black, as you all know, our president and CEO. What we have for you, I'm sure all of you hopefully have gotten a chance to take a look at it. is our request to renew our contract and our proposed budget for 2019 to 2020. With that, just a few things to highlight. Two of the events that the chamber coordinates and manages as a part of that contract is the Cherokee Strip Celebration in September, as well as the Spring Fest and Car Show in April. In the sheet that Noel just handed out is kind of just a pie chart of how we disperse those funds from the city. A large portion of that goes towards the Cherokee Strip Celebration, which is for the chamber, and I believe for Perry, the largest event that we have. It's estimated that we have about 14 to 17,000 in attendance for that, and that's a big undertaking to be able to put that together and make it what it is. And each year we've grown it a little bit. We've had a larger parade. It's gone on a little bit longer, but that's good. We've had quite a few vendors and different folks come out from outside of Perry wanting to participate in what we provide. And with that, do you guys have any questions with the funding and how it is used? All right, and then with the packet that we had distributed, was there any questions with that as well?
We did, if you noticed on that report, it was our quarterly report, but we did try to put in there, really to go with our contract that we do have with the city, just to show you that in each of those items, or line items, that is what we have done through the quarter. So a lot of them are broke down, and then if you'll notice on there, we did have the Spring Fest event, and so we had about 110 vehicles registered for that event, and then underneath that is a breakdown of the sales tax revenue that we show going back into the city. And so that is a state formula that we come up with based off of attendance expected for that event, dollars spent into the community, and then multiplied by our sales tax rate. So just to show you on that event, of course, Celebration will be a lot bigger, but both of those events do bring revenue back to our city.
And for Celebration, we will be bringing this quarterly, as you said, so next quarter, we'll have the results from Spring Fest to present before you as well. And that's something we want to continue doing along with this contract, is to keep you updated and informed with what we're doing and what the tourism is really making an effect in our community and in our city.
Well, thanks to the chamber for all you guys do.
Oh,
I really
thank you.
appreciate that, promoting our community.
Yeah, we have a great board, a great group working in this. We have some of our board here tonight, but as you get to know all of us, and you'll see us little by little, the new board that we have, that we've put together, great, very active in the community, and really eager to get things done. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I did want to mention, on our contract, I know there was just a few things that we wanted clarification on, so I don't know if you guys want us to bring that up now, or if you want us to do that afterwards when you approve the contract.
I would probably rather know now before we
Okay.
approve the contract.
Just on here, I know, going through it, it still shows that, we're being funded with the hotel motel tax. And I don't know if that is still the same, or if that, I thought it had changed, just being funded from, general fund and not from hotel motel taxes. So that was one thing. I didn't know if we needed that to still state hotel motel taxes, or if that needed to be clarified. And then on our acts that we do perform for tourism development, some of these items are from a previous contract a couple years before, when we did hold the tourism development contract. Well, we still claim tourism development, but we did more within tourism with more funding. And so we had more items that we were able to do with advertising. And so now on our request for funding that we have, it just has a little bit of a change on some of those items. So I don't know if that's something that we need to change on this contract to go with our request of funding, or if we need to keep it the same.
Oh, I think, do you have that document there?
This is
The
actually
changes?
Bill's contract. I don't.
I think, you know, that we could approve it. I mean, what it did is it just deleted, I mean, as I understand it, you're responsible for, this is what Larry wanted, community events and celebrations, including but not limited to church trip celebration and Springfest car and motorcycle show. I mean, that was his key that he wanted there.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, and this is what we had given to Larry, so I don't know if these line items are just a little bit different than these ones on the bottom of this. And we did used to have more duties to involve more advertising, so that was where the ads needed to be presented before
And
the
that's-
city manager.
And that's when you got 36,000 and
Correct.
you allocated
Correct.
dollars there.
And once we had a cut in budget to 20,000, some of those items, we met with mayor and city manager and had changed some of those.
Okay.
And so that actually goes into those items.
Well, we could certainly bring this back if you wanted, but the truth is I believe that as corrected here, I can certainly do it on the contract. I think it certainly works for me. There was, you know, we didn't cut 100% of the funding, but we cut about,
Correct.
you know,
Yes.
we decreased it significantly, and so you're now recognizing that, and I would agree that the contract needs to be changed. What it would do is, if you look at your contract that's behind tab 7, it would essentially it would essentially give you the first phrase of B2. It eliminates 3 because they're not doing all that advertising now because we haven't given it to them. It's 4, 5, 7. And then there's an additional one which says work with City of Perry to assist in business interests of relocation and locating in Noble County area. Which is essentially what we have here. It's just slightly changed. So I can bring it back if you like, but I do think that this is in keeping with the current fund level, and I would certainly approve it, but it's whatever you want to do.
I think we could go ahead and approve the contract, because I believe we're gonna approve the contract with them anyway, just pending the changes. So I'd rather just go ahead and get this behind us, move on.
Larry did want the language, plan and promote community events and celebrations, including but not limited to church strip celebration and Springfest hop and car and motorcycle show.
Those are the two largest events,
Yeah,
but we also
right.
do Touch a Truck, we also
Right.
do the fishing tournament at CCC Lake, so there's other events in those, but.
So if with that change, you know, I think somebody could make a motion if they wanted to.
Can you go
Or-
over that wording again?
Yes. Yeah, the first one is plan and promote community events and celebrations, including but not limited to the church strip celebration and Springfest hop, car, and motorcycle show. The next one is plan and promote Perry as a destination tourism location by marketing the city's assets to local citizens and visitors to promote tourism development. Number 3 is number 4 in the contract. Answer inquiries, distribute materials, and be available for third parties who may visit or desire to visit. Number 4 that they have is the next one, build cooperation between the many groups and individuals who have a role and interest in tourism development. There is a new one here, work with the City of Perry to assist in business interests of relocation and locating in the Noble County area. And then number 7, as mentioned, keep the Chamber's webpage current and accurate, advertising the events and programs as hereinbefore described. There also is, of course, the duty to provide a quarterly report. And Larry wanted me to insert some language which provided that, you know, if we don't get the quarterly report, then we could withhold funding, but I don't know that there's been an issue with your quarterly
No, I don't
reporting,
believe so.
But he did ask for me to put that in there, so.
Yes,
If-
and- oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, if that's sufficient, it's what we're asking them to do, so.
Jamie. Let's motion to approve the contract as amended as just described. How's that?
Second. She's like, now what do I say? Yeah, and that really was just like Bryce had said, we used to have more of an advertising portion of our contract. We spent about $8,000 promoting the city of Perry. And so when we had a cut in funding, it really was more of an effort to partner with the city. And many of you know that the city, Main Street, and myself work in a collaboration. We're trying to get new brochures distributed, a flat map, and really just have a working effort to promote Perry as a whole and not just as a chamber. And so that was one of the issues before, and that's why those were in our contract, and that the ads had to be approved by the city manager. So that was just from a couple years ago, but we still do tourism development just in a different aspect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Gilliard.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item B, consider approval of service contract with Main Street of Perry Incorporated.
I'm Kayla Schramm, Director of Main Street of Perry, and this is my chair, Angie Drake. We came on behalf of approval of our contract. First and foremost, I think it's most important that everyone understands what the Main Street organization is and what it actually does. And instead of me boring you and chopping it all up, I have a video that I'm going to play that's from the National Main Street Center that does a really good job of explaining just the overall idea of the Main Street organization.
Main streets are the heart of our communities. They're our nation's gathering places, places of shared memory, celebration, and economic activity. They represent the core American principles of ingenuity, inclusion, and creativity. Yet over the years, main streets have faced many challenges, from suburbanization to the deterioration of historic buildings to the changing face of retail. While these challenges are formidable, today's main streets are resilient. Through hard work, planning, commitment, and action by local volunteers and leaders, main streets across America are thriving.
Main Street stands for a revitalized America.
Downtown is important because it's the heart and soul of any community. If you don't have a healthy downtown, you simply don't have a healthy town.
Everybody knows what it's like when the public square is actually working and thriving. People are buying goods, they're walking back and forth. We all know what it's like to be in a community like that on a Saturday. The sun is shining and you just feel great about being in a main street.
Main Street America is a nationwide movement with a proven track record of revitalizing older and historic downtowns and neighborhood commercial districts. The Main Street America Network brings together thousands of passionate local leaders who contribute their time, energy, and ideas to building more vibrant and sustainable communities.
Entrepreneurs have been the backbone of the American economy for 240 years, and I know that whether it's in the furthest rural corner of the country to a commercial district right in the heart of Chicago, there are men and women with desires to open their own business. What Main Street does is it helps to create the environment in which those businesses are a little bit easier to get up off the ground, and those businesses are more likely to succeed.
Main streets are once again the incubators of small business and the launching pad of entrepreneurs. Great ideas are nurtured in communities that appreciate the value of local. The Main Street America Network knows how to encourage these pioneering businesses and how to create the environment to help them prosper.
This is a time-tested, comprehensive, market-based, and community-led approach, which has been employed in over 2,000 communities over the last 40 years.
If you want to see America grow, if you really want to see America grow, look at Main Streets.
Being a part of a network like this, you get to share best practices across all kinds of markets. There may be plenty of areas that are different than yours, but somewhere out there, there's a market that's very, very similar. If you can study what they've done, then you can learn about it.
Successful economic development today is not about what you don't have, it's about what you do have. And one of the things that Main Street has done is made people aware of what the value of downtown historic buildings and how a small incremental approach to redevelopment can be the best approach. Too many communities for years thought economic development was all about the one big thing, but successful economic development is much more frequently about lots of small things working synergistically together off of a plan that makes sense. And so Main Street at its core is about creating a plan for the future.
Today, people are seeking out communities with character and places where they feel connected. Main Street America downtowns and districts are places to raise families, start new businesses, build community, and forge the future.
I gave everyone in their packets a nice little letter last time. Everyone was super excited about me reading my letter, so hopefully you all have had the chance to read that, read our contract with Ron Drake, and understand the services that he provides, understand the services that we have available through Oklahoma Main Street program, and other than that, if anyone had any questions.
I think I'd just like to add that our goal is to continue to revitalize downtown Perry. I mean, I do believe that it's the heart of our town. We have a beautiful downtown square, so the more businesses, the more things that we can get downtown and bring people and lives downtown and life downtown, I think it just adds to our community and can welcome more people here.
Well, thank you. I'll second from the chamber. You guys do a great job. We appreciate it. A lot of exciting things going on, so we appreciate the work you guys do.
It's exciting to see the new buildings and the new businesses that have come to town, and I know you guys have done a lot with that, so appreciate that. It's exciting. We want more.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Angie. Kayla, I think you've just done a great job. I really do. So thank you to both of you.
We've been very lucky.
It's taken a group effort.
It does, and the more people we get involved,
Right.
the better off we are, you know, so.
I think it excites me because a lot of what we're starting to see trickle in now are things that we used to see people here in this town leave town to go to. And, you know, especially when we're trying to keep money in town, and we're trying to get things here and other options that people want to see and people want to go to. I mean, I think the way that it's happening, I think it could become infectious. You know, those businesses survive, and then next door decides, oh wow, you know, now I want to feed off that crowd, and then, you know, because you see it all the time in other towns where boutiques come in, and I think that's what we all want to see. We want to see downtown come to life.
Which I will add just a little side note to that, because I definitely want to see this domino effect, and I want to see this parking problem become a real parking problem. But so along with that, we recently discussed to replace our Meal on Main in July with a wine downtown, and invite all of our local businesses to come together and host like a quarterly theme. And our theme is going to be Parking Wars, and just getting feedback from our current downtown businesses, our future business owners, our building owners, and get their feedback. Listen to them on what they want, and, you know, kind of just whine about it, and
While they drink wine.
yeah, and figure it out. So.
I'm excited to see the facelifts of the buildings. We ride motorcycles, and you take back roads when you do that, and so you go down a lot of main streets that are just falling apart. And so I'm very excited, because you can, when you go to those, you're like, can you imagine what this used to be like when it was thriving and their business down here and people everywhere? So I'm excited about it.
questions for us?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You get approval for item B.
Make a motion to approve the contract with Main Street of Perry.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. Thank you. Item C, consider approval of resolution number 2019-05 of the mayor and city council of the city of Perry of Oklahoma supporting participation in the FYI 2019-2020 Oklahoma Main Street Program. It just says that we approve this, we confirm the commitment to the principles of Main Street and revitalization of the community.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Okay, item D, consider approval of tourism development agreement with the Cherokee Strip Museum. Mike?
Good evening, Council. I'm Mike Dvorak, Vice Chairman of the Cherokee Strip Historical Society. And I'll have to be honest, I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. I haven't seen the contract, but I know it's good. We didn't have it at our last meeting. So we are eager to participate with the Chamber and with Main Street and with the City of Perry. If you haven't been to the museum lately, there are many things out there that are new, exciting, and a lot of it doesn't get publicized locally, but it does happen. We have the Rose Hill School, which is a big deal to many kids. We have about 2,000 plus kids come in every year from September to the beginning of May, participate in the Rose Hill School. We get people coming in from Jenks, Shawnee, anywhere that people can get in on the schedule. And we have several that want to be on the schedule, but we don't have room for them. So there's always people waiting in the wings that want to participate. And I think everybody here may be a little old for the Rose Hill School, but here in Perry, the kids that come talk about it, they still remember it from 10, 15 years ago. And so it's a big deal for those that participate. The other thing that happens with Rose Hill School is it's not just kids coming in on the bus. Many of the parents come with them. Many of the parents stay at the museum, buy things, come downtown and shop, come to town and eat lunch. So it's not just kids bust in and bust out. It actually does bring a lot of people in to participate in the city of Perry. We also have the new blacksmith shop. It was inaugurated and opened about a year ago. We had people from the Oklahoma Historical Society come up and be with us. We had members of the council, and Larry was there. We had about 125 to 150 people there for the inauguration of the blacksmith shop. Since that time, the Salt Fork Craftsmen, a group in Oklahoma that does blacksmithing, has set up to cooperate with us, and we are a member of that group now. They come here for their quarterly meetings periodically, and we have blacksmith school once a month. Last week, 2 weeks ago when that happened, we had 29 people come to town just to learn blacksmithing, just to watch. And they brought family that didn't really care, and so that family went out and eat here in the city. They went out and looked around, they did things. And so we're bringing people in, And that's one of the key items, is to promote tourism. But we also want to preserve the history of Noble County. We feel that if the museum doesn't do that, then who will? So it's important to have a good group, to have the support of the OHS, and to keep going with what we're doing. The amount of money that the council is proposing to invest in the museum would be used in our general budget. Goodbye, fly. And so that's where it would be. That we spend about $55,000 a year on salaries. We spend about $20,000 on utilities between the museum and the blacksmith shop. And then we have all the upkeep and maintenance for the museum. The Oklahoma Historical Society provides some of the funds for the maintenance of the facilities, particularly the part on the east side of the driveway that is owned by OHS. But as you all know, they've had a significant cut in their funding too. And that affected us really harshly about a year and a half ago. But things are getting a little better. I met with them Friday about cleaning up some of the trees. We have repairs that need to be done to the schoolhouse, and they're going to take care of part of that. We don't know yet how much. The rest of that has to come from local funding, and that will come from the contribution that the council makes. It will come from the funding that we receive from the council or from the OHS, and it'll come from private sources as needed. We try to get people in to look at the museum. We are one of 2 museums in Oklahoma that has a billboard on a highway. Us and Route 66, which is at, Clinton. We are the only 2 museums to have a billboard and let people know that if they get off in Perry, we've got a museum. We've got things to see. And then once they come to the museum, we steer them downtown, we steer them to Brahms, other places that they might enjoy while they're here. We had a group of folks come in a couple, 3 weeks ago, 26 people come to town to see the museum. They also eat at the Comeback. They had reservations there. And that's not unusual. We have people coming in all the time. And the more that we can offer, besides just food or just a museum, we can keep them here. We can get their dollars, and it helps everybody. So that's really our biggest goals in the museum. I do want to mention our funding. As I said, the state, the OHS owns the east side of the driveway. Everything on the west side is owned by the Cherokee Strip Historical Society. And we have some funds from past Parians that we can utilize to maintain the blacksmith shop and that side of the driveway, but they can't be used on the east side of the driveway for the most part. So we have to walk a precarious line on what we spend, how we spend it, but yet we still have to maintain the grounds. And I'll stop with that and entertain any questions.
Any questions for Mike?
I will say that we have an excellent board member in Councilman Bond. He participates and does a great job.
Appreciate you sharing. That's
Thank you,
really
Mike.
interesting. I think that's good for our community to know all the different things that are going on. It's exciting.
We're just excited to be back in the mix to receive some funding. It's hard when everything starts getting cut, and we've made it so far, but we just want to build and not let our facilities go down and require a lot of upkeep in the future. So we are very thankful and appreciative.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Item D.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with the Cherokee Strip Museum.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 8, consider approval of payment of the $5,360.87 to MKEC Engineering for professional services rendered through June 15th, 2019, including the Rotary Park walking path, estimate review, 2019 drainage issues, library and police station structural reviews, south boundary of 8th Street stream embankment collapse. It's under item 8 in your tabs in the back are all the invoices. There's some reviews and some engineering stuff that they've looked at for us. We just need to pay this bill.
Motion to approve payment to MKEC.
Second.
Roll call.
Bond.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 9, consider approval of professional services agreement with CBEW Professional Group LLP for auditing services for 2018-2019. This is our audit that we had done. It's just paying them for that.
This is
To do the next audit?
yeah, this is approving the agreement.
Okay, for the next audit, I'm sorry. Get a motion?
That's why we don't know the exact amount. Right.
It will be
Right.
$15,690.
You don't think it's gonna be less than that?
I don't, I'm
Okay.
sorry. CBEW is a firm out of Stillwater. They have, they've done our audit, I'm gonna say 4+ years since Councilman Norman is the one that brought them in. They're very well known across the state. They're Yellow Book certified. They come in every year as part of our annual process, audit our numbers, review our internal control process, and issue a report, our audit report, that we're required to submit to the state by December 31st.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Consider approval of ordinance number 2019-13 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 15, Article 4 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplement by repealer of subsection C to section 15-401, providing for a repealer, savings, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency. Bryce, would you
Yeah.
discuss this?
I recommended the adoption of this ordinance a couple of years ago. The state legislature had approved the section, and it appeared as though they wanted us to follow it. In fact, the general counsel for the Department of Public Safety said that we had to follow it. I spoke to her. However, no one else, well, I mean, there were a few cities that elected to follow it. Most cities aren't, and the most recent thing is that the folks that collect the money down at the state are telling us to stop sending it. It was a statute which lowered the fine for speeding 10 and under miles per hour. And then it provided that the costs, a giant share of the costs would be used to pay state costs. And it actually occurred during a time of state budget shortfall, and it appeared as though they were trying to gig cities to help them out. Well, the police have had trouble enforcing this. It really doesn't square very well into DigiTicket, and I just don't think it probably needs to be, our law anymore. And so from now on, I mean, if you get a ticket for 10 miles an hour or under, you're going to get a speeding ticket for 10 miles and under. And what we are doing is we're switching to speeding, which is not reasonable and proper. We are switching over to another charge, and it has basically confused things. So what I'm asking you to do is to repeal what you previously passed. This was a request from Connie of your office and a few of the police officers, and I don't disagree. So that's what I would recommend tonight.
Any questions for Bryce? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-13.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Strutter.
Yes. Any motion on emergency?
We don't have enough votes. We have 6. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah. That's
Yeah,
it.
we don't have enough.
Okay, never mind. Item 11, consider approval of ordinance number 2019-14 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 13, Article 1 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplement by the amendment of subsection C to the section 15-401 by providing criteria for the fire chief to use when exercising his discretion regarding permitting tanks in some areas for bulk storage and providing for additional NFPA regulations, providing for repealer savings, codification, severability, penalty, effective date, and declaring emergency. Okay, Chief, would you like to talk about this, or you want Bryce to talk about it?
I can talk, sure. So in ordinance 2019-14, it allowed the fire chief to make the decision subjectively whether or not to allow propane in city limits. And so what I had visited with Larry about, and also sat with Bryce and worked out some guidelines to keep me from making that decision with no guidelines whatsoever, with guidelines that you as the governing body set forth for me to make that decision off of. So a couple of just some minimal requirements that I felt like would at least get us started to create those guidelines was setback from the adjoining neighboring property of at least 100 feet to be able to set a tank. And then the other thing was the property has to be at least 5 acres in size. And that way we don't have propane tanks sitting all over the city of Perry. It would at least restrict it to a large enough of an area where we don't have that issue. And those are just, and then also what type of fuel is proposed to be stored in the tanks. So we've identified and we defined bulk propane as being a 100-pound tank. Propane weighs about 4¼ pounds per gallon, so it's about a 26-gallon tank. Anything over that is considered bulk propane. And so again, these just give us at least a foundation of some guidelines and parameters for that decision to be made through the office of the fire chief without just making a decision with no guidelines at all. So.
And might I have a question, I think a clarification there. This is just permitted in places where they do not have access to natural gas, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
And that is part of the issue here. In many communities, if natural gas is provided, then you don't really want to allow propane because it's more flammable and the like. And that's kind of the fire issue. What we tried to do is we tried to limit the size of propane tanks, down to 100 pounds of pressure, which is really the kind that you'd carry in an RV or the like. But there are folks that would prefer to have propane rather than gas, because the cost of getting the line from the right-of-way to the place they want to do it can be exorbitant. It can be, let's just say, several $1,000s. So the thought was, originally, when we brought it to the councils, we'll leave that up to the fire chief. And the last fire chief was happy with that. And this is a better ordinance now, because we're setting some criteria up that he can make that decision on it. But I'll tell you, what you're doing here is you're being more liberal than some cities would be, but you are permitting choice, and you're introducing some variables to ensure fire safety. And I think as amended, you're comfortable with this. You would probably like to ban, all natural accelerants out of the community if you could, right? I mean that would work, but this is a compromise ordinance that we're recommending.
Where exactly does it say in this contract, in this ordinance, what size of tank that it can?
And this ordinance doesn't limit the size of the tank of the ordinance. That is what's left up to the discretion of the fire chief. It's basically just those first three items, the type of fuel being stored, the distance from the setback from the property line, the adjacent adjoining property, and then the minimum 5
Well, it does
acre.
define bulk. Yeah, it defines bulk storage.
Right, it just doesn't, and I'm sorry, Mayor, I may have misunderstood. I thought, were you asking about, does it limit the maximum capacity size of one? Okay, yeah, that language wasn't in the ordinance. I felt like that would probably be one of those decisions that could be made. I just felt like if we had those initial guidelines to base that decision off of.
Yeah, it says the bulk storage container or tank with a capacity greater than 100 pounds, which would be what bulk storage was. But I didn't know if there was a limit on how big the tank could be.
Well, I don't think that you would allow one outside of an industrial area that was much bigger than 250 pounds, right?
Yeah. Right, again, because
it doesn't
for
say that,
residential use,
but
right.
you're gonna only permit it if you think that it's gonna be a safe application.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that this ordinance had enough teeth in it that whatever the chief says is what it.
Yeah, it does. If he doesn't say yes, then it's 100 pounds, except where otherwise permitted, and we do permit it in I-2. Like, for instance, RN Concrete has a large, tank out at his I-2 facility.
Yeah. I don't know, and I may be out of line, or maybe I don't know enough info, but was there not a house that was pending approval of a
Yes,
propane
that's what
tank?
this is.
That's what that is.
Yes, about 2 or 3 years ago, and I called ONG and I got them to cut the price in half for the installation. That would run from the right of way in, because we have a franchise with ONG. It's not doing favors for people, but you can call the public service company. We have a contract with them, and it was based on that we came up with our last ordinance. But the individual chose not to get his tank at that time. It's now 3 years later, and he has decided to get his tank. Now, I would say that this ordinance will apply. His tank is 250, as I understand. So this would be permitted on his property. But, I mean, we designed this so that it wasn't some special legislation for him. We took a look at what we had done earlier and said, let's try to improve it this time. So that's why we put those variables in here. But no, it is related to to an individual. It's just that it will apply across the board, but there was someone. And of course, the former fire chief was willing to grant it, but it wasn't sought at that point, and now we have a new fire chief.
Yeah, that's why I was asking,
Yeah.
is so that something that was already pending wouldn't be affected by something that we were gonna vote in.
Well, because he hadn't moved forward with it, there's nothing to grandfather. So yes, he will be, if you pass this, he will come under these regulations. And if you do not pass it, the fire chief, I don't think that you're going to approve his particular application, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. That's where the rubber meets the road on this. But, it's really not, this isn't really just designed for him. It's a relook at the legislation and making it fit the requirements of our new fire chief, who wants standards set, doesn't want all that authority, wants you to help direct him.
I think everybody likes having a little bit of guideline, which is what you're,
Right.
instead of having scope this big, you just wanted a little bit more
Yeah.
narrative, and then you can go from there, which makes sense to me. So I guess I'll make the motion to approve ordinance number 2019-14, amending chapter 13, article 1.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Jobeck.
Yes.
Iker.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Lyons. Yes. Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Russell. Item 12, consider appointments for the Perry Municipal Hospital Authority. I know that most of you are probably getting tired of looking at this, but the good news is we're gonna fill them. So, position number 3 expires May 2019, is nominated by the mayor to serve a 3-year term. I would like to make the motion to nominate Brian Friend. He is a volunteer firefighter of ours. He is also owner or operator of the Trout Funeral Home here in Perry. And I have talked to Brian, and he is more than happy to serve in that position. So I would like to nominate Brian for that position.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Jobeck.
Yes.
Iker.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Lyons. Yes. Stroller.
Yes, thank you very much. Position number 5 expires May of 2019, is nominated by Ward 2 to serve for 4 years.
I'd like to make a nominee to recommend Crystal Dilbeck. She's a pricing analyst at Ditch Witch and is a strategic player there. She's worked on many different projects, and I think she'd be a good advocate to have there, as well as she's wanting to get more involved with the community. So I think this is a good start for her.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Iker.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Lyons. Yes. Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Position number 7 expires in May 2019, is nominated by Ward 4 to serve a 2-year term.
I would like to nominate Josh Kennedy for position number 7 that expires after 2 years. Josh Kennedy is a parts sales manager at Ditch Witch. He's worked for 15 years with Ditch Witch, Oklahoma down in Edmond, and has recently moved back to Perry. He's from this area along with his wife, and both of them have relocated here, and he's trying to get back and involved with the community. I think this would be a good start for him as well.
Thank you, Jamie, very much.
I second.
Roll call.
Bond.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Iker.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Lyons. Yes. Stroller.
Yes, thank you. If you would do me a favor, Jamie, and get their email and phone numbers to us,
Sure.
and that way we can make contact with them.
I'll send that to Dixie.
Okay, yes, thank you. Item 13, consider approval of the FYI 2019-2020 collective bargaining agreement with the Fraternal Order of the Police Lodge number 137.
We were able to get this negotiated along the lines that we discussed at our last meeting, and they have signed it and submitted it to us for our approval.
There weren't any changes from when we last.
Nope.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Item 14, I would like to consider a motion to continue this to our next meeting. We don't have the contract signed by the fire department yet.
Motion to table item 14 to the next July 15th meeting?
Second.
Roll call.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you. Any new business to come before the council tonight? Seeing none, item 16.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes, thank you, council.